Chairperson, honorable members, the chairperson of the committee, Mr. Gobaza, thank you very much for an excellent piece of work. The Appropriations Committee is one that is not sufficiently recognized as one of those that has a very complex task to look at the entire budget and receive representations and then present to Parliament its recommendations on what Parliament should do in respect of the various allocations that government has decided upon. Let me repeat the key messages of the budget and recall for you that the budget is about people's lives, it's about their future, it's about saying what we consider to be our priorities, and it's about how we establish stability within our country whilst we look at a variety of challenges that we actually have to deal with. We said that South Africa is a resilient country and a resilient people, and that we will be able to respond to the challenges that the globe provides for us in terms of the tough economic environment and the dismal economic outlook, both amongst the advanced economies and the negativity towards the emerging markets. We've learned with the Deputy President at the World Economic Forum on Africa that in Africa we also have countries that are oil dependent and resource dependent who are going through tough times. But at the same time, there are a group of countries that are doing extremely well. Our focus, we said, is to reignite inclusive growth, growth that will bring more people into the economy, ensure that the marginalized don't remain marginalized, but importantly, that all of South Africa benefits from any form of economic growth that we have. We said that we will do whatever we can in terms of our fiscal strategy to create a sustainable path forward. And so we delivered, contrary to what some of the honorable members have been saying, a balanced budget which enables us to reduce our deficit to 2.4% in the outer year, which enables us to look for 15 billion rands in 2 of the outer years as well, to get to the point that we want to get. We can for the first time say that we will have a primary surplus, that is, revenue will be above expenditure for that particular year, and an important marker of how we are running our economy and our fiscus. We kept our promise that we will consolidate our fiscus even further, and above all, we said that we will make sure that our debt is sustainable, unlike what Honorable Fig, he's here, was saying earlier on, and he doesn't really have an alternative either. And in doing so, in approaching the expenditure question, which is what we are looking at here, we have used various techniques in the post-recession period. We said we will combat wasteful expenditure, and we've got another list of wasteful expenditure that we want to cut during the current and succeeding years. We said we will reduce the compensation budget, and we have a plan that we've put forward in that regard. Close down underperforming programs. This is work we're doing with the Monitoring, Planning and Evaluation Department. In the past, we've used what we call a general haircut. We will stop new programs or slow some of them down, and we're beginning to do that. Reschedule or postpone certain capital projects which already have enough money, but in the outer years will have to battle for money. But there are 2 things we said we will not do. The one is cancel key capital projects, and the second we said we will not do is impact negatively on core social services and provision of income for poor people, as in social grants. And that's a promise that we've kept to our people. When Honorable Mania talks about exercising the power to amend the money bill, we congratulate him on that. But in terms of what the committee seems to be reporting, he should have taken the committee into confidence much earlier to give himself the opportunity to persuade the committee and eventually all of us that he has a better set of ideas about how allocations should actually work. So now he comes along and says he wants more money for EPWP. There is enough money there. And when we have a better fiscal situation, we'll put more money there. But there are many other places where there are money. For example, the Community Works Program, the Jobs Fund. So there are many areas in which government has demonstrated its commitment to creating jobs. But what he does not tell the South African public is that most of the jobs in South Africa are created by the private sector. And nowhere in the presentation does it say, where are we going to get the jobs in the private sector? And again, it is us as government and as the ANC that has been ensuring that the ratings agencies give us more time to get our plan to ignite growth going. It is we as the government and as the ANC that have been engaging business and trade unions, that have been putting together a package that we can credibly put to the ratings agencies, but also to our own people, to say, not only do we have a plan, but we have a plan of action to change the character of our economy. On the question of the students and the additional requirements, we've met their current requirements. But what he should also know and say to the South African public is that in the longer term, we need to find a better solution. And so a commission has been set up. There's discussions with the private sector on how they could participate in solving the problem of fees for students at tertiary educations that cannot afford them. And let's await the work of this particular commission. Another example that he gives is drought relief. But we said in the budget that in the contingency amount that we've set aside, we have both money in that contingency amount and in the budget of the Agriculture Department and in the disaster management environment to actually take care of any eventuality that farmers in South Africa, both small and big, will be confronted with as a result of the drought. He talks of the hiring freeze, but this is like stealing intellectual property. We've said that we are working towards a hiring freeze for certain categories of people and reducing the compensation budget. So the one appeal I want to make to Honourable Mania and to Honourable Fig is please help us to differentiate between grandstanding and electioneering and providing intelligent, workable, structural solutions. Don't mislead the public that you actually have an answer when you actually haven't run a country in your life. This side has run it for 20 years. The Honourable Msimang, as the previous speaker said, Honourable Shopa Sitole, we're not a welfare state. What we want is most of our people to earn their income by working, by applying their skills, by being better trained, and having the dignity of work and income. And that's the goal in the medium term that all of us want to actually achieve. Sheikh Imam is right that the destruction that we see, as the Minister of Basic Education has indicated, in the schools in Vuane is something that is both regrettable and must be outright condemned. It cannot be, as Minister Mashlobo is quoted as saying, that those who are having financial interest because of the old arrangement of municipalities now inspire a rampage where these almost 24 schools are wiped out in a very short period of time. And all of us must ask some tough questions about who is going to pay for these schools and where is that money actually going to come from. Honourable Kwankwa, I think you should pursue any matter in relating to the abuse of state resources, and I'm sure you'll begin to get some answers in that particular regard. And Honourable Swat, I want to agree with you. It's a point that I've just made. Let's move away from point scoring when it comes to the common good. All of us should be interested in avoiding a downgrade, because it is going to be a downgrade that impacts on every single South African, regardless of the color of the T-shirt that you wear. And it's about time that the DA in particular, but others as well, begin to distinguish, as I have said this a million times at this platform, between party political interest and national interest. And we just don't seem to be getting the maturity in this particular regard. The Honourable Fig had 8 minutes and regrettably didn't spend it well. He's looking for a long-term vision when we already have one. Maybe we must provide him with a copy. He's talking about resilience and leadership when we've adequately demonstrated that. He's talking about the gap between rich and poor, but his party's policies actually sponsor that gap being increased all the time. We are the ones who want to reduce the gap. We are the ones who want to improve the quality of life of South Africans. And the proof of the pudding is in the way in which we've allocated resources, particularly to the social wage. He says the social wage of 56.7% is too little. In fact, it's one of the highest in the world that he will ever find. So in conclusion, I don't have the time to respond to the rest of what he's saying. We do not have unsustainable debt. We are managing our deficit well. What we should all be focusing on is how do we inspire confidence in our economy? How do we stop shooting ourselves in the foot? How do we focus on providing new and creative answers, which is coming from this side of the House, on inclusive growth that will meet the requirements of all South Africans? I urge all of you to support the appropriation bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.